Can technology solve cold cases? One, the scale of the problem and of the opportunity. The FBI's uniform crime statistics and state tallies suggest that well over 250,000 homicides committed in the United States since 1960 remain uncleared, and tens of thousands of rape kits are still untested in evidence vaults. A similar backlog plagues Canada, the United Kingdom, and Australia, where DNA was collected but never profiled, or where leads died with witnesses. Federal funding streams, such as NIJ's long-running Solving Cold Cases with DNA grants, were created precisely because local agencies lacked the money, staff, or science to tackle that mountain. National Institute of Justice. 3 converging innovations now give detectives leverage their 1990s predecessors could scarcely imagine. Genomic forensics capable of reading DNA that once looked hopeless. Artificial intelligence engines that surface patterns across oceans of siloed data, and networked evidence infrastructures that keep bullet, phone, and body cam records talking to one another. The rest of this essay explores each layer, punctuated by real-world breakthroughs logged during 2023-25, and ends with a blueprint for a fully modern cold case bureau. 2. The Genomic Renaissance 2.1 Investigative Genetic Genealogy (IgG) workflow. Crime scene DNA is converted to a SNP profile and uploaded with a court order to an open database such as GMatch Pro or Family Tree DNA. Bioinformaticians look for 3rd to 5th cousin matches, build out family trees from public records, and hand detectives a short list of biologically plausible suspects. Case study, Arlington TX, 1985. For 39 years, the Valentine's Day rape murder of Terry McAdams lay dormant. In 2023, the Arlington Police Department and the FBI's forensic genealogy team uploaded a re-extracted profile. The tree pointed to the lineage of Bernard Sharp, a local felon who had died in a double murder-suicide months after the crime. DNA from a close relative confirmed the match in early 2024, giving the family long-delayed closure. People.com, CBS News Arlington.hosted.civiclive.com. Case study, Phoenix John Doe. Ramapo College's Investigative Genealogy Center used the same approach this spring to identify skeletal remains found near a bus stop in 2001, proving the man was a Colorado drifter who had vanished while hitchhiking to Mexico. Ramapo College of New Jersey, why it works. Traditional CODIS matches are binary. Either a suspect's exact STR profile is already in the offender database, or it is not. IgG exploits the fact that everyone shares significant stretches of genome with distant relatives who may have uploaded voluntarily. Limitations and ethics. GMatch moved to an explicit opt-in model after public backlash in 2019. Only users who tick a consent box are compared to law enforcement uploads, which shrinks the reference pool by roughly 60%. GMatch. The method also raises Fourth Amendment questions about genetic privacy for non-participants. Most U.S. judges now require detectives to exhaust conventional leads and seek a tailored warrant before resorting to IgG. Next-generation sequencing, NGS. Where capillary electrophoresis needs long, pristine DNA strands, NGS shreds whatever material remains, then reassembles millions of short reads into a usable consensus. That means touch DNA on a 1978 ligature can now yield a single-source profile suitable for CODIS or IgG upload. Qiagen's Forensic Intelligence Kit, validated in 2023, targets 10,000 ancestry informative SNPs from as little as 100 picograms of input. Qiagen Globe Newswire, 2.3 advanced collection devices. Even the best lab cannot sequence DNA that never makes it off the evidence. The suction-based MVAC sprays buffered solution into porous material and vacuums it back through a sterile filter, recovering up to 200 times more cellular material than a swab. Dozens of U.S. departments purchased units after 2022 pilot projects linked the device to successful cold case indictments, including an overturned murder conviction in Syracuse, NY. MVAC Systems 2.4 Rapid DNA at the front door booking station kiosks from Thermo Fisher or Andy can type an arrestee's cheek swab in 90 minutes, automatically querying CODIS for cold case hits. An FBI pilot across 4 states flagged multiple arrestees to unsolved rape profiles, though legal hurdles persist in states that bar pre-conviction collection. Forensic Magazine 3.1, link analysis, and knowledge graphs. Platforms such as Palantir Gotham and the UK's Thrive build graph databases from phone metadata, license plate readers, parole addresses, and informant tips. Algorithms then rank the strength of connection between events that humans might never juxtapose. A 1993 .38 caliber robbery in Indiana and a 1997 carjacking in Tulsa say that share uncommon modus operandi strings. Analysts at the LAPD told American Academy of Forensic Sciences delegates in 2025 that one Gotham query linked 4 unsolved strangulations across 3 states in under 2 minutes. Palantir American Academy of Forensic Sciences 3.2 Cold Case Prioritization Models. Because lab time is finite, several US and EU forces now feed dormant file metadata into a gradient-boosting model that scores cases on solvability uplift. How much any newly available method, NGS, genealogy, GPR, is likely to improve odds of closure. Early field tests cut redundant lab submissions by 28%. 3.3 Generative AI for media enhancement. Modern neural networks denoise analog audio tapes, upsample 240-line CCTV, and can infer missing pixels in a license plate blurred by VHS artifacts. A 2024 Dutch study used a eKappa TDNN speaker recognition model to isolate a suspect's voice from a 1991 emergency call and attach a statistically weighted likelihood ratio to the match. In video, the Netherlands Forensic Institute built a height estimation model that measures limb ratios from surveillance clips, narrowing a victim pool when DNA or prints were absent. LegalPDF.io Guardrails. European expert panels recommend open source code, documented training data, and error rate disclosure to comply with the Daubert Standard and the EU AI Act. Misidentification risk is highest with underrepresented demographic groups, so many labs now run a second independent model or manual blind review before results reach prosecutors. Morton Solicitors for Digital Trace Evidence in the Cloud Era. 4.1 Smartphones and IoT Footprints. Tools from Cellebrite, Oxygen and Grayshift clone encrypted phones, strip chat apps of hidden SQLite fragments, and scrape geo-metadata from photographs. In a 2024 wrongful conviction appeal, defense experts used a Cellebrite timeline to prove the defendant was streaming a football game 120 miles away at the time of a 2003 murder. Data prosecutors never extracted during the flip phone era. Cellebrite in Vista Forensics 4.2 big video search cloud services like BriefCam index hours of body cam or petrol station footage, letting detectives query red pickup and ladder rack, or even person limping left leg. Combining that with license plate reader hits often reconstructs a suspect's route years after eyewitnesses forgot. 4.3 Chain of custody integrity via blockchain. Delhi's Forensic Science Laboratory is piloting a blockchain-anchored evidence app that writes every custody handoff to an immutable ledger, making retroactive tampering almost impossible. The system has trained 1 through 500 personnel and aims for national rollout in 2026. Ledger Insights. 5 Ballistics and Crime Gun Intelligence. The National Integrated Ballistic Information Network, NIBIN, stores 4.5 million digital signatures from cartridge casings. ATF's new NIBIN Enforcement Support System, NES, overlays those hits with time-to-crime analytics, social media threat data, and parole addresses, allowing analysts to backtrack cheap semi-automatic pistols through sprawling shooting series. ATF Crime Gun Intelligence Initiative. In San Antonio, NIBIN SS linked a 2001 cold case homicide to 3 recent drive-bys within 72 hours of the casings being imaged. The pistol's last possessor is now awaiting trial on multiple counts. 6 Locating the missing. Sensors in the field. 6.1 Drone-borne ground-penetrating radar, GPR. Lightweight antennae slung under quadcopters can scan rugged acreage for soil anomalies without the slog of hand-drag units or cadaver dogs. An MDPI study in 2023 showed drones could flag clandestine graves as shallow as 30 centimeters with 86% accuracy in pilot plots. MDPI Mexican geospatial researchers are already merging GPR with hyperspectral imagery to prioritize cartel grave search grids. Wired 6.2 Hyperspectral and multispectral imaging. Decomposing bodies alter vegetation nitrogen signatures. Algorithms trained on those wavelength changes help surface burial clusters even years later, guiding archaeologists and search teams. 7 Interoperability, making silos talk. Cold cases often die in the gap between evidence systems. Modern federated search hubs query CODIS, DIABIN, ballistics, NamUs, missing person biometrics, and VICAP, violent crime MO, simultaneously and return weighted overlap scores without dumping raw files, easing GDPR compliance for EU partners and US privacy constraints. A growing number of agencies are testing federated machine learning itself. Rather than centralizing sensitive data, each department trains a local model. Only the updated model weights flow to a secure aggregator, where they are averaged and shared back. German startup Zane demonstrated the concept for child exploitation image detection in 2024. Zane 8 barriers and fault lines resource gaps. Rural sheriffs may lack funds for NGS or Palantir licenses. Without federal grants or regional labs, the tech divide widens. Privacy and consent. IgG critics liken compulsory use of distant relatives' DNA to warrantless household searches. Opt-in policies mitigate but do not eliminate the dilemma. GED match algorithmic transparency. Black box scores risk persuading juries beyond the model's validated scope. Courts increasingly demand validation studies like the eCappa TDNN speaker ID paper before admitting AI findings. Arxiv evidence saturation. A single iPhone extraction can yield 10 million artifacts. Without disciplined triage detectives, risk drowning in irrelevant leads. Legal standards. Dobert and Fry hearings now weigh probabilistic genotyping and neural image reconstruction, just as they once grilled fingerprint methodology. Blueprint, a next-generation cold case unit unified evidence cloud. All legacy files are digitized, hashed, and timestamped on a blockchain-backed ledger for tamper detection. Search UI supports federated queries across DNA, ballistics, and digital traces. AI-driven solvability dashboard. A model ingests each case's evidence inventory, witness vitality and forensic gaps, re-ranks the backlog monthly and flags technology-ready files, e.g. degraded DNA plus NGS now feasible. Mobile Genomics Lab. A van equipped with MVAC, TouchDNA UV laser mapping, rapid DNA and secure satellite uplink lets rural agencies collect samples without shipping to the state lab. Open Code Analytics Stack. Voice ID, image upscaling, and link analysis models are published under permissive licenses, so defense experts can replicate findings, satisfying discovery and dauber. Ethics and Oversight Board. A panel of data scientists, civil rights attorneys, and victim advocates audits false positive rates, approves genealogy warrants, and publishes annual transparency reports. Federated Learning Consortium. Participating states keep raw data local, yet share model improvements weekly, pooling statistical power while honoring privacy statutes. 10 Conclusion. From icebox to inbox. The cold case locker used to be a graveyard of lost hope. Today, it is closer to a waiting room. Its files poised for release as soon as the right mix of genomics, analytics, and human tenacity arrives. IgG has already named killers who died thinking they got away. AI link analysis spots patterns that outlive witnesses. Blockchain guarantees that a 1974 pistol casing can stand up in a 2035 courtroom. Each technology, however, is only as ethical and effective as the policy scaffolding around it. Build those guardrails and scale the tools, and the next decade could rival the 1990s introduction of DNA profiling in its impact on justice. Fail to build them, and society risks a future of forensic haves and have-nots, or worse, of convictions won by opaque machines rather than transparent evidence. The choice sits in every legislature, city council, and police procurement meeting convening this year. Cold cases will not solve themselves, but with smart, accountable technology, many of them can finally be solved.